There are some films, even though they take place in a futuristic setting that might seem outdated, that are simply timeless in their themes and messaging. A good example is the movie Blade Runner, which features futuristic tech that's both far beyond ours and behind at the same time. But even though it isn't 100% accurate with its set pieces and costumes, the lessons that film imparts upon us are still as relevant today as they were when the film was released. The same goes for RoboCop, a film rife with evil that has stood the test of time and has cemented itself as a true classic that no serious film buff should miss. Hello everyone, and welcome to the 232nd episode of Analyzing Evil. In this film, there is one villain that stands above the others, that being Clarence Bodiker. But because RoboCop is so inlaid with villainous characters and moral themes, in this video, we're going to be looking at much more than just Clarence. For Clarence, as dastardly as he is, would be nothing without everything else that accompanies his actions in this film. A quick aside, I know you might have seen me wearing this ring for a while now, but my wife and I actually just got married this past week, and as you can imagine, it's been a bit of a hectic month for me, so I apologize for the lighter upload schedule lately. Now, as rife with villainy as this film is, the characters we can find causing havoc and mayhem within, like any of us, need a good night's sleep. And one thing all of us could use some more protection from when getting our rest in is harsh and often unavoidable sunbeams streaming in through your window and disturbing your sleep. Something that you and I can easily get protection from with our sponsor for this video, Manta Sleep. I've talked about Manta before, and as someone who has a lot of trouble sleeping, I'm happy to talk about them again. Manta Sleep is in the business of making your resting hours that much better with sleep masks that offer adjustability, a premium feel, and pro-nap movement that both protect your eyes and ears with built-in Bluetooth headphones, so you can lull yourself off to sleep with any sounds you wish. And with how important it is to make sure your sleeping area is as calm and peaceful as possible, Manta Sleep is a welcome addition for anyone, no matter what your sleeping schedule is. With summer at our doorstep as well, it's more important now than ever to shield yourself from those pesky rays of sun flittering in through your window. So if you're like me, and the slightest sound and tiniest pinprick of light disturbs your slumber, head over to mantasleep.com or click the link in the description and use the code VIOLET at checkout to get 10% off your order and enhance your sleeping experience today. Thank you, Manta Sleep, for sponsoring this video. Now, without further ado, let's begin. One of the most disturbing traits a villain can have is a penchant for sadism. And while sadistic tendencies can come in many forms, the most unsettling display of them can be found in characters who have a sickeningly happy-go-lucky attitude. A character who has embodied this perfectly throughout his many iterations is the Joker, a laughing madman who enjoys peeling the skin off someone's face as much as you or I enjoy watching the various stories he's appeared in. But if the Joker is the perfect example of sadistic glee, then Clarence Bodiker is surely a contender for second place.
You probably don't think I'm a very nice guy, do you?
Buddy, I think you're slime.
See, I got this problem. Cops don't like me, so I don't like cops.
This is our introduction to Clarence, a carefree and brutal man who reigns as criminal overlord of an entire city, and a man who cares little for the lives he harms every minute he draws breath. His gang is similarly disposed, with raucous laughter and snide remarks being staples of each of their characters. The murderous clown's carny thug entourage, who enjoy causing death, destruction, and mayhem almost as much as their boss does. Other than his sadism, though, the most remarkable thing about Clarence is how totally in control of his world he seems to be, at least when he isn't backed into a corner. He treats almost every interaction he has with others with a slick confidence and casual demeanor that belies the nature of his actions, giving us the impression of a man who isn't just in charge, but knows he's in charge, one who has access to a bevy of resources both illicit and legal that give him a sense of invincibility and an attitude to match. However, as I mentioned, Clarence's composure is absent when he's put in a dangerous situation. For like many men in his position, Clarence is a man who lives his life fast and to the fullest, imbibing in drugs, women, and violence simply for the sake of the thrill who, as much as he takes them from others, fears greatly losing the life he's made for himself. A coward hiding beneath a brave facade who becomes a whimpering mess as soon as he gets a whiff of defeat. Like most villains though, Clarence and his gang didn't simply appear out of nowhere. In RoboCop, we're shown a dystopian future where tensions are heightened in various ways, like with a nuclear presence in South Africa, a crisis in Mexico involving rebels with rockets, and the US military, and the accidental misfire of a laser cannon from the Star Wars orbiting peace platform that killed 113 people, including 2 former US presidents. Now, this film is well known for its use of violence, and plenty of it is on display for us in this story. But though the pervasive violent nature of the world in this alternate universe is a big part of the problem in this narrative, the violence found within would be nothing without the catalyst that seemingly created most, if not all of it: greed. In this dystopia, we're shown various indicators that the world, much as it is now, is run on money, but to an even greater extent than it is in our own world. In the first media break we're shown, we receive an ad for the Family Heart Center, a company that sells revolutionary mechanical hearts that one can finance and receive an extended warranty for. A look not into the future, but into the now as a not-so-tongue-in-cheek jab at the broken healthcare system in the United States that bleeds patients dry as they bleed out in hospital beds.
And remember, we care.
But don't worry, after you're done recovering at Robert Ford Hospital, and you've picked your kids up from Lee Iacocca Elementary, you can play a round of the Nukem board game with your kids, so you can desensitize them to the horrors created by your corporate overlords, while they watch a delightfully raunchy episode of It's Not My Problem with the lovable Bixby Snyder.
Hey, can I have you both?
Sure! We've had our shots.
I'd buy that for $1.
And if anything should happen to your family while they're sleeping soundly in their beds, you can rest assured knowing that the police department sponsored by the Omni Consumer Products Corporation will probably hopefully be there to save the day, if they have the funds for it, that is. Now, a big inspiration for these elements of this story are derived from Michael Miner's, one of the film's writers, distaste for the Reaganomics of the era this film was released in, and the notion that corporations were responsible for the degradation of Detroit from one of America's most magnificent cities to one of its greatest failures. And well, he wasn't exactly wrong about that. In this film, which takes place in Detroit, the city is shown to be filled with the worst types of criminals committing the worst types of crimes in a decaying environment filled with abandoned buildings and impoverished citizens. And while the Detroit of our day has been sent down this road in many ways, it's not nearly as horrifying as the one depicted here. This is where Clarence Bodiker and his gang were presumably born and raised, in one of the harshest environments America has to offer that conditioned, or rather forced them to adapt to this dog-eat-dog world, or be eaten. A world where violence and hardship are everyday facts of life. A world where a man can be brought back from near death and reprogrammed as a cyborg to serve his company against his will. And a world where an individual's pain is only alleviated by more of the same, wrapped up in a neat little package that comes with a large price tag. But that's no big deal. All the city really needs is a fresh coat of paint, right? Right. Enter Delta City, OCP's plan for a brighter future for Detroit, featuring state-of-the-art homes, buildings, factories, stores, entertainment, and law enforcement that would have ensured all the follies of the past were but a bad memory. A bad memory that you could scrub from your mind with a few simple fees that you'd be paying to the company that would soon own every single aspect of your life. Except this plan, much like the happy facade the media presents to the citizens of this world, is nothing but a facade as well. For whatever bliss and peace was planned for this corporate paradise would only be temporary, for there's much profit to be made in suffering and exploitation, and we wouldn't want to shy away from anything profitable.
Suit yourself, Clarence. But Delta City begins construction in 2 months. That's 2 million workers living in trailers. That means drugs, gambling, prostitution. Virgin territory for the man who knows how to open up new markets. One man could control it all. Clarence.
Well, I guess we're gonna be friends after all. Richard.
This is the corporate hellscape of RoboCop, a dystopia that, while being a fantasy, is not far off from reality. In this world, not only does the average person suffer the burdens placed upon them by the greedy, but so too do the powerful, with a space station obliterating 2 former presidents, and the malfunctions of that same station causing a mishap while the sitting president was visiting it. A world where violence, misunderstanding, and malfunction are more so the norm than they were previously, and unjust misery and death dominate the lives of everyone living on this planet. In this story, we're treated to a fantastic villain in Clarence Bodiker, a man molded by these dire circumstances, whose machinations were poised to cause the suffering and deaths of countless more lives than he'd already ruined. A man who was cruel, sadistic, and merciless that would have easily overseen the destruction of anyone and anything so long as it lined his pockets and put a smile on his face. But the greater evil in this story is found in what the realities of this alternate world and the small details regarding the deaths of powerful people show us. That greed isn't just a poison that affects the exploited, but the exploiters as well. Faulty equipment and structures made with substandard materials to save a few dollars. Wars that are started to enrich the powerful. Products that are created to warp our minds and dull our senses to do much the same. And services rendered to the public through privatization and oppressive practices have the potential to harm those at the top just as much as they do those that they tread over. For there's one inescapable fact that the malefactors of this world often forget when pursuing their dark designs, that every single one of us is human, and no matter how much money we have, no matter how many resources at our disposal, underneath it all, we are all just as vulnerable as anyone else is. The enduring lesson of RoboCop, a lesson that isn't likely to be irrelevant anytime soon, is that this world is far worse when we choose to take from each other more often than we choose to help one another. A lot of us have been conditioned to step on the heads of our fellow man if it means lifting ourselves and the ones we love to greater heights. But in doing so, we only damn ourselves, everyone around us, and everyone who's poised to come after us. The thing is though, it's not so easy to set yourself apart from the excesses of this world. It is far easier to fall into the trap corporations wish us all to fall into than it is to step over them. And it's unlikely that great changes to the off-greed-centric nature of our world will occur anytime soon. Or will they? The world is constantly changing, and as time moves forward and people get more and more tired of the conditions forced upon them by their supposed betters, things will change. Perhaps rapidly, perhaps not so rapidly. But maybe, just maybe, if we all work in small or even great ways every day to alleviate the injustices of this world, the dark future of RoboCop will be but a thing of fantasy and an evil that's best left there. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Analyzing Evil, and I hope you've enjoyed. What are your thoughts on RoboCop? Did I miss anything? Let me know down below, and leave a suggestion for a villain you'd like to see featured while you're at it. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. A big thank you to all of my subscribers, my patrons, my members, anyone who's decided to honor me with a super thank, and especially Elijah Kai VA, our Dark Lord channel member. And a most vile thank you to those whose names you're seeing on screen now. Join the channel's Discord server and subreddit to interact with myself and the community, and follow me on the social media platforms listed below to keep up with the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you soon.